The biggest lessons learned were title, thumbnail, length, and speed to value. I want to know how to use YouTube. Tell me what to do with YouTube. Focus on titles, focus on thumbnails, focus on descriptions, focus on speed to value.
All right, guys, in this video, we are going to be talking about the second largest search engine in the world, which is YouTube. So if you're a contractor that is looking to leverage something that's already a free resource and an organic tool, we're gonna be talking a little bit about our own origins, some of the success that we found, and how you guys can crush YouTube in 2026. I have Mike Claudio here with Winright Consulting. Let's first start off with origins. We were having a brief conversation, and when you were first starting out YouTube, I think one of the things that you mentioned was you just wanted to get good at talking on camera. What made you decide that YouTube was that platform for that?
Early on, it was, how do I beat my competition? And I didn't even know, like when I first started, I didn't really know coaching and mentorship and online persona as a thing. I wanted to be best and known for something. And I said, well, what do most people not want to do? And being on camera and being in public speaking were two of the biggest things. So I'm gonna go get good at this. The first 2 years of YouTube was almost like a public Dropbox. It was like I used to do Facebook Lives, I'll put on YouTube. And some of those are still some of my best performing videos 7 years later. I wasn't originally producing content for YouTube. I was using YouTube as an evergreen resource for things I was doing on through Facebook Live and other educational pieces of content. So I was just using I think it was probably 2 years of just getting in the habit of putting it there, getting the habit of how to edit it correctly, how to even just make a video post and what goes into it. So it was more of a public Dropbox when I started. And then it was probably 2020-ish, 2019, 2020 when I really started okay, let's go develop YouTube specific content. Let's get focused on thumbnails and titles and descriptions and lead strategy and editing strategy, and upgraded the performance of the content and upgraded the quality of the equipment, and really took it seriously probably 2020.
So for a couple things that you were mentioning, just to kind of unpack them, because you mentioned a couple of very key things. One, when you said we weren't really making videos specific for YouTube. What did you find in that first phase that you learned that was something that you apply to today?
Titles are super important, and understanding that the right time domain of a video. Those are the two big things, how long a video should be. Is it 3 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 12 minutes? What is the right length video? Because understanding how the user was engaging with the platform, I wasn't even trying. It wasn't I was underperforming. I wasn't even trying to, I was just trying to get things on YouTube. When I started getting serious about okay, when I search something on YouTube, the second largest search engine, what draws someone's attention to the video to even click on it? And then how long are they willing to watch? Even how long can the intro video be, right? And the transitions. The biggest lessons learned were title, thumbnail, length, and speed to value. I want to know how to use YouTube. Tell me what to do with YouTube. Focus on titles, focus on thumbnails, focus on descriptions, focus on speed to value. The biggest spike in engagement we saw was getting hyper fixated on being intentional with titles and thumbnails.
What about in the realms of storytelling versus education versus entertainment?
Understanding what brand you want. Are you the Mr. Beast of the world that's trying to entertain people? Or are you trying to educate people? Are you trying to teach people about you or about what you do? And pick a lane. I think when your channel has too many variables, we were throwing podcast footage on there and educational content that was 3 minutes long and educational content that was 15 minutes long. And then some of them worked and some of them didn't. But I think getting hyper fixated on what do we want to be known for on YouTube? Pick a lane. And I want to do more personal branding on Facebook. I don't want to build a personal brand on YouTube. I want to build an education platform on YouTube. I guess I just don't see a contractor, this video is specifically focused on contractors. If I look at the masses, they're not the entertainers. Historically, they are more the utilitarian type. I'm gonna teach you about construction and how to construct and what to construct and when to construct and what works together and how to price things and what to know before starting a remodel. And that's what builds the business side. I don't know very many contractors who are getting an ROI on personal branding on YouTube.
Well, I think it's probably because it's such a competitive space. When they're picking their lane and they're thinking about their competition is not another contractor generally. It's the attention of the entire ecosystem. So you mentioned Mr. Beast. A large percentage of people are watching Mr. Beast. And when Mr. Beast releases a video, you release a video, you're competing for attention in multiple verticals.
I just feel I have seen more success with contractors building their personal brand on Facebook specifically, because like you want to be known locally, and YouTube is not a geographic centric platform. I think Facebook is, because you get like-minded people. You get like, I know this person, I know that person. This client becomes a friend of yours on Facebook. Now their ecosystem starts to see some of your stuff. And the whole like Joseph Hughes, like 5 Mile Famous thing, I think is easier to do and accomplish on Facebook than it is on YouTube. Because of how the algorithm puts you in front of like-minded people, you tend to have a larger percentage of your friends on Facebook are geographically located to you.
What about if you're in a geographic location, you're specifically focused on making videos that are revolved around that area?
I would still do the education on YouTube and the personal brand on Facebook. I would not use YouTube as a personal branding platform. You're going to build a general personal brand if people like the educational content you give, but having a lifestyle brand as a contractor on YouTube as opposed to Facebook, that's the differentiator it makes. So you could say like remodeling in Myrtle Beach, right? So your YouTube channel will have a demographic that is Myrtle Beach focused because you're using it in your terminology, you're using it in your titles, you're using it in your description. But I still think it should be educational content, not lifestyle stuff.
There's something that you mentioned talking about like the end user, the viewer. It's called, we call EOV, which is the effect on the viewer. What have you found that has been the best structure or format to be able to think of the EOV, the effect on the viewer?
I think like opening the video with like, here's the problem we're solving today, and trying to solve one problem. I think when you try to train or educate on too many things in one video, someone's there for the snippet and they're not gonna watch a 10-minute video for the 30 seconds they're looking for. I went from like intro me to intro, here's why you're here and what you're gonna get, keep watching, very brief intro of me, straight into educating. So is that, here's why you're here and what you're gonna get, keep watching. I'm Mike, boom, lesson number 1, or the first of 5 things, or 3 things, or whatever. And so it was, the minute the video starts, you're speaking directly to the viewer on, this is why you should keep watching.
If you're struggling to feel productive and getting your list done on a consistent basis, it's going to be overwhelming. Trust me, I get it. I run 6 companies right now, 120 employees, and 10.
You don't say it that way specifically, but it's just like, hey, in this video, we're gonna be solving or how to hire a design build contractor. We're gonna teach you 3 things to look for before you make your decision. Hey, I'm Mike with Claudio Construction. So number 1 is, because if you look at the fall off rate on YouTube, when you start to analyze the data and you look at like, when does the viewer fall off on average? When we had intros that were not locked into that, it was immediate. We changed our intro to, hey, here's why you're here, here's where you're gonna learn, keep watching. Massive difference in getting people through into that 60 to 90 seconds as opposed to losing them in the first 3.
So there's metrics before you make your video, which is title, thumbnail, intro. Let's talk about the metrics and the data that you're looking at after you do a video to be able to hone in your craft. You mentioned fall off rate, which many of the viewers that might be watching this have no idea what fall off. What does that mean? And what are some of the key metrics that you look for to see how you improve from one video to the next video?
So fall off rate is, at what point does someone click off the video? So they've decided that video is not for them. Like that's basically like, they said, I'm here for something, I'm watched this amount of this video before I realized, and you look at like average percentage watched, and depending on length of video, there's different targets in my opinion. If it's a 3-minute video versus a 15-minute video, like percentage watched is gonna be a different rate or a different target.
And on YouTube, it's gonna be AVD. So you're gonna look for AVD, average view duration.
And so on the fall off rate, it was, we would do some A/B testing on the same video with different intros and see, like, that's how we learned. That's how we started. We're like, hey, our fall off rate is a lot. It's very short. So let's test some different things. We would release the same video with slightly different titles, slightly different thumbnails, slightly different intros to see what would perform better. We were looking at titles and thumbnails and what attracted the click. And then we were analyzing different intros to see what kept them longest. And we did that for probably 6 or 8 months of like testing and analyzing different concepts and theories to decide like, what's the recipe that worked for us. Specifically audience members and the attention span varies wildly, and it's more of an art than a science per se. Then it was understanding the demographics of our audience too. Like 80% of my audience is 25 to 45-year-old men, right? So when I started recognizing like who I'm talking to, I can change my verbiage a little bit. I can speak a little bit more, like directly and a little bit more aggressively because I know my audience is looking for that, right? And so like understanding the demographic allowed us to get hyper fixated on like more masculine things, more masculine colors, more direct titles. I could speak more directly. Not that I was speaking softly or like passively before, but I can be a little bit more for 25 to 45-year-old men as opposed to trying to be for everybody, right?
So you have to talk to the audience in the fashion. And I would even say what we do personally is, and this is a prime example that I experienced, is I was doing like full studio build transformation and stuff like that. And I was thinking that transformation was the hot button word. My videos were like, they were having like huge fall off or like low click-through rate. And if you don't know what click-through rate is, I'm gonna click on this video versus any other video. So they decide to land on your video. So for me, I was using, full studio transformation. Transformation was a great word, but when I did a little bit of research through vidIQ, understanding the videos that were already in my lane, I think that's huge for pre-research, understanding the videos that are already out there and then recreating them your own way with your own unique perspective. What I found was a majority of people were actually looking for tiny room studio, tiny space, small space. And so they were looking for hyper specific things because they were dealing with a certain problem. So rather than starting off my video or even the title of it being like full studio transformation, hey, in this video, we're gonna go through a full studio transformation from taking this to this, I started saying, here's how you can take your tiny room and transform it into a full functioning studio. The verbiage was there because that's how people were searching, and they were immediately validated that they were on the right video.
So YouTube is all about how much as the user do I trust I'm gonna get the answer to the question I have right now by watching this video. That's YouTube. Like if you wanna maximize YouTube, it's how quickly can you speak to a specific avatar with a specific problem that is looking for a specific solution. The faster that they trust they're gonna get that. Because what I found was as my brand had expanded and my channel grew, when I got to let's say 10,000 subscribers, I had earned the right to gain more time from people. When you're starting your channel, it has to be, the shorter the videos, the better. You have to earn brand trust with a client or an audience or a client base or whatever to say do I trust I'm gonna get an answer to my question here?
I might have a differentiating opinion on that.
Okay.
So I was doing 3-minute long videos and my coach told me hey man, if I was watching your video and I'm trying to solve this elaborate problem, and if I saw a 3-minute video versus a 30-minute video, I would click on the 30-minute video because I knew that it had the right amount of substance to it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a really small percentage of YouTube users though. They're literally dedicating time to go learn and study. I don't see a general homeowner sitting down with a desire to watch a 30-minute video. You gotta look at homeowners are consumers, and consumers have the shortest attention span. I don't think people want to learn for 30 minutes. They wanna be entertained, but I don't think they wanna be educated for 30 minutes on a topic.
At least not in this vertical.
In this vertical, 100%, yeah. Okay. If I look at my audience and what I determine about my client base is they don't want to learn on their own. They want a coach. If they're looking for it, they want you to hold their hand and tell them exactly what to do. And so we've built the courses and we built the videos and people would watch 10 seconds of it. Well, Mike, just tell me what I want to know now. Make it special to me. Maybe if it's okay, different. I'm speaking to CEOs. If I'm learning how to install something, I'll watch a 30-minute video because I need to understand the whole process. I have some longer format stuff. It doesn't perform as well. What worked for me may not work for you, and what worked for you may not work for me, and what works for you may not work for us. And so you have to build your own thing and do it your way and test and try new shit. I was releasing 2 YouTube videos a week for 3.5 years.
That's actually a lot. That's a big lift.
Right. And so I learned a lot by just taking a lot of at-bats. And so we had a lot more data to pull from. I wasn't releasing 1 a month. I was releasing 2 a week. We were able to test and try things faster. And we were able to learn from the data faster. We were able to analyze the analytics differently because I had so much data to pull from. But I haven't released a new video for YouTube in probably 6 months, and I'm still gaining 300 new subscribers a month.
That's a really good observation because I think one of the things that most contractors don't know is why we even talk about YouTube and think about YouTube is because of the compound effect. Is that if you have a great video that you shot 3-4 years ago, it will still continue to gain traction. And so if you have that cadence of...
I made $250 in the last 30 days or 28 days, 20,000 views, 222 new subscribers. And I have not released a video in 67 days.
Here's the metric that I love to look at though, when you're looking at your dashboard here. Revenue's great, views are cool to the, So here's the differentiator, and this is what separates what I call short form warriors or 30-second warriors versus people that are tackling YouTube, is the number of watch hours. And so within the past 28 days, you've had 1,100 watch hours. So if we were to do the math on that right now, based off of the amount of watch hours within the month, 45 days worth of time in front of Mike. One of my personal mentors, Christo, taught me this rule and taught me that if anybody's going to buy anything from you, they have to follow, or they should generally follow the 7-11-4 rule.
81,000 hours is my total lifetime. Is 3,300 days, so almost 10 years.
Somebody spent literally a decade, or his audience has spent a decade with him. So going back to the rule that I had mentioned is, in order for someone to buy from you, there's a 7-11-4 wheel. Someone needs to be able to spend 7 hours with you, see you in 11 different placements online in 4 different locations, especially when you're selling high ticket. It is borderline, sometimes impossible, to be able to do that with the 30-second warriors. Your 30-second short form videos. And while it's like, it's a great hit and it keeps you in front, that only fills off the 11th placement. Where is somebody going to be able to sit down with you for 7 hours? So if you're not creating that content that has a binge effect to it, right? So if I watch like one of your videos and you're talking about overhead and profit, and I'm going through, and you mentioned like net profit margins where they need to be at, click on this video. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch his video on overhead and profits, and if he injects another video into that, I'm going to finish the video, or I'm going to click through to the next video and continue the binge. And so that's how you get people spending 10 years with you to be able to sell anything to anyone that's spending that amount of time with you.
My top video has got 155,000 views, and it was launched probably 5 years ago. At 95 views today on a video I posted 5 years ago. Like, that's crazy to me.
I think just like the shelf life. The shelf life is like, somebody can watch this video that he shot how long?
Actually, I released March 25th, 2020. So it's almost 6 years. And I got 95 views today.
But that's what I'm saying is your effort was put 6 years ago
correct.
to be able to yield 2 leads today.
Right. And it just never stops.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't beat that 7 hours. And especially because YouTube is a platform that's focused on that. Because at the end of the day, the goal of the platform is like to have you spend so much time on the platform that you abandon time with your family. That's what the platform wants. They want to be all encompassing. I think one of the greatest quotes that I heard, I think it was from Coca-Cola. They had mentioned like, oh, what are your thoughts on like competing with like Pepsi? He was like, we don't compete with Pepsi. We compete with water. If we can make you drink Coca-Cola more than you drink water, and then we win. So you have to be able to feed that with retention. You can have a great video, and if nobody clicks on it, it doesn't really matter.
I guess some of my best videos I thought were the best ever underperformed wildly, but it's about the body of work over time. Public speaking and being on camera is still some of the biggest fears in life. And if you can just overcome that, you're gonna beat everybody who won't do it. And it's not hard, you just gotta start. I tell everybody, it takes you 40 to 50 at-bats to get comfortable. You have to create 40 to 50 videos before you're really gonna start to feel like you got it under control. You can't coach your way there, you can't guess your way there, someone can't get you there any sooner. You gotta just do the at-bats. If you do that, you're gonna beat the 99% of people that won't even try.
So if you're watching this video and you are a contractor that's looking to dominate your market, have customers sit with you for a longer time and actually be able to educate them so that when they come to the table or when they're talking about they are referring to the work that you've already done on YouTube and the placements that they've seen you in, that lead will be so much warmer than you could ever imagine than just knocking on the door and going. So if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and write in the comment section below the questions that you have on some things that we might have not have clarified, as well as where you are currently at within your content journey, specifically on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribed, as a majority of you that are watching this are not subscribed, so I want to take this time to invite you to subscribe to the channel. It's where you can learn and grow on YouTube, but even more so as the creator that you're designed to be. I'm ManagerJon, this is Mike Claudio. Peace.